And welcome back to Old Comic Book Day. I'm your man Mud. Mud is my middle name. My first name is Kerr and my last name is Jun, and I'm an old guy. I like older comic books and not the new stuff, so I'm doing an unboxing of a box of comics I this put together from my 54 short boxes. I just went through and went, okay, what's the oldest stuff I have in order to fill a short box to reread them from my oldest on. And I put together a short box that had basically trade paperbacks, reprints, old comics, etc. from 1961. Basically Fantastic Four. I don't have the first one, but obviously a trade paperback reprint through the 1980 year. And this is the second unboxing video. Missed a few in the first one, kind of a little bit out of order, but oh well. Sorry for any autistic retards out there, but this is my unboxing, and I made a slight error, and I'm not going to go back and re-edit or redo anything more. But again, I was talking about this official Marvel index to the Avengers, and I was at a con, and I saw them. I got number 1, 3, and 5. I don't have 2 and 4, and however many off after that. But I did go ahead and open up for this video. The first one, so you can see what that looks like. It's pretty good stuff. It's an index, like an encyclopedia type style entry. So you have the Avengers cover 1 on the facing page, and on the front page there is the information about it. So to include a column length synopsis. So they have villains, guest appearances, special weapons and devices, story credits and stuff like that, what characters were in it. So here's number 2, Avengers against the Space Phantom, and all that information. Anyway, these are really well detailed, really cool. Again, this is prestige format. At the time it was published in 85, 86 time frame, it was $2.95, and it has it's colored, it's illustrated on the back as well. And it's square bound in prestige format. So there you go. All right. So moving on. I also have, here it is, number 5. Okay. And so some reprint copies or whatever I have. This is Sgt Fury and his Howling Commandos, number 125. Fight along with us, fight with us along the Burma Road, and you will meet the man who failed. So it's actually a very good story. Stan Lee scripted it, and just real good story. It was one of his Howling Commandos enlisted rather than following his family tradition of being an officer, and they were fighting the Chinese along the way. They pick up a nun and some kids, try to deliver them safely to a bigger battalion of allies along the way, and one of Fury's commandos gets a little bit nervous and apprehensive that he's going to see the guy because he knows it's commanded by his brother, who's like a lieutenant colonel. And in the last page or two, in the last few panels, they do meet up, and he's like, "Oh, I'm real proud of you, little brother. You're awesome. You went your own way, you did your own thing, and you're in an elite squad. So no, the whole family's proud of you." So he just was embarrassed because he wasn't an officer and his brother was. And anyway, they hugged it out. It was good story. Enjoyed it a lot. Alright, so I've got Marvel Collector's Items Classics, just reprint series, Fantastic Four versus the X-Men, some other stuff in there. I think there was maybe a Doctor Strange and a Watcher story in there. So anyway, pretty good. Alright, I also have here X-Men King Size Special number 1. This is also a reprint. You can see X-Men versus the Avengers, and then the origin of the Sinister Stranger, it says, Lucifer. Anyway, so classic tales, but what's unique about this is I believe this is the first XMen Annual. They did reprints and called them King Size Special, as you can see up here, for number 1 and number 2. And then after number 2, they just called them annuals. So X-Men, for the first run of Uncanny X-Men, it's like 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on to the 20s, are called annuals. I have number 1. I do not have number 2, but I do have annual number 3, and so on and so forth. All right. now onto probably, well, that may be a minor key or something, but one of my first keys, I do not have Werewolf by Night 33, 34, but I have them in Moon Knight Essentials. But here's Moon Knight, Marvel Spotlight on the Moon Knight, number 28, his first solo, book. And I was lucky enough to get this from a collection of a friend friend of the family sort of thing, just gave me about 200 comics, and among them was this. For the longest time, probably 20 plus years, I'd only ever read the first half of this story, and then I thought it would all turn out well. I'm sure it did, because Moon Knight continued on to have his own series. But I was at a comic book convention, and this might have been the most expensive comic I'd ever purchased to that date, which is only $20, but still. I found number 29 at a convention in pretty good shape. The 28 is not in very good shape. This number 28's, I don't know, it's a 6 or something, maybe a 7. It's all right. It's just kind of beat up, but this one's better. It's probably an 8 something. I don't know. I'm not grading too much. I don't care very much. I just enjoy the comic books. I will do a deeper dive on the Moon Knights, because those 2 issues plus the Werewolf by Night and stuff, and I'll review those. Real good stuff. So more to come on my channel about on a review on those. This Avengers Annual, I was quite fascinated by this. This is actually uniquely done. It was set between 2 Avengers issues, so it's like, I don't remember what number. I'm just going to make up some numbers at random. You got issue 133, and then it's like hard break, and then they bust through a wall in the first panel of this. And it's like a straight continuation from, a regular numbered Avengers monthly. And then it goes, and when this ends, this says, oh, pick this story back up in our next issue of Avengers. So unique. I'd not ever encountered that, myself in the time frame when I was collecting from 86 to 92. Annuals were always just special set-off events. Yeah, they sometimes were part of the continuity, maybe, like Spiderman getting married to, Peter Parker and Mary Jane Watson getting married. Was definitely in continuity, but it wasn't like a direct, hey, finish this issue and immediately go jump to that issue, or you ain't following the story. So anyway, it was pretty good. And I believe the interiors on that one were drawn by George Perez. Pretty good. It was an interesting read. All right, here is Iron Fist number 4, not 14. No, just have number 4, and it's a super beat up copy. Again, one of those things you acquire from someone. I forget how I got it, where I got it, but somebody gave me a bunch of comics, and among them were this very beat up number 4. It is Chris Claremont, written by him and drawn by John Byrne. Can't tell you enough how much of a favorite team of mine they are. On of course the Uncanny X-Men run, and and John Byrne on his Fantastic Four and Superman and everything. Love them, right? But I will say this comic sucked. Number 4 was just, it was not a good issue. It was not interesting. It was neither of those 2 guys' best work. It was neither Chris Claremont's best writing nor John Byrne's best drawing. It was just a fairly dumb story, and I didn't care about the subplot, the minor characters or whatever. Yeah. All right, back in to my old beat up copies that I didn't buy myself, because I never really plunked down money for stuff that are as beat up as these. You can't really see them through the plastic, I'm sure. But Amazing Spider-Man number 161. Again, got it. Was given this, and this guy gave me all his comics and a bunch of Amazing Spider-Mans, and this was a fun read, really good read, really good comic. It's a 2-parter, and I'm pretty sure Punisher's in there as well, and ends on a cliffhanger. And I hadn't known what happened for years, because I probably got it in not that many years. I wasn't in suspense for too long, but I probably got it in 85, 86, 87, somewhere. And then later, Marvel Tales reprinted a bunch of the X-Men crossovers with Spider-Man. And so I finally got the second part of the 2-parter in a Marvel Tales reprint somewhere in 89, 90. And so it's good. It's a good story. All right, great team up and all that. Starts with the typical, wait, you assassinated that guy. No, you killed him. Oh, I'm going to punch you. I'm going to teleport you. I'm going to beat you up. And then, wait, no, it's not you. Oh, okay, well, who's the bad guy? Oh, there he is. It's Punisher. Let's go get him, or something like that. So anyway, great read. All right, here's another great read I just picked up at the comic shop the other day, too. just before the shutdown. Here is Iron Man, True Believers #1, as they all are #1s. But a reprint of an Iron Man issue from somewhere in the time frame I'm talking about, somewhere like in the late 70s or something, as I'm going along this book collection I have. Anyway, it was really good. I was surprised. I opened it up, and I hadn't known that John Byrne drew early issues of Iron Man, so it was a John Byrne layouts with like Bob Layton finishes and good art and a good story. I think if I'm not mistaken, it was David McElhaney writing it, and he's just he has no peer. He's the best Iron Man writer. He's just fantastic. All right. Yeah, it's good. The shield gets kind of infiltrated. Helicarrier gets infiltrated. They knock Tony Stark out, then they throw him off the helicarrier unconscious, and he has his suit of armor tied, with and folded up in a briefcase, and it's tied with a what do you call it? Sorry, it's late and I'm tired. Handcuffed to his wrist, and so in midair he starts putting on the costume, and then he gets up and stuff like that. So and he flies back up to the helicarrier and beats the bad guys. All right, the next batch of comics in this unboxing, I am going to do a deep dive on them. It is pretty special stuff. I have these are what I would consider my first comic books, the ones I'm about to show you. I got them when I was like a kid, about 7 years old. I want to say if I wasn't 7, I was no older than 10. It was somewhere in that time frame, 7, 8, 9, 10, somewhere in there. And my mom is taking me shopping to Pick and Save, which is now Big Lots. Okay, so the chain of discount things, Big Lots, and they were selling maybe on a spinner rack they had probably Whitman samplers, I'm guessing, because these are Whitman reprints of Marvel Comics from 1978. Now, I would have been 4 when those were published. I did not get them when I was 4. I got them when I was like 7 or 8, and they were put in Mylar bags, hung up on spinner racks, and they were 3 comics in each one. And boy, oh boy, were they great. I'm going to start showing those to you now. And I put them in order. I don't have them all 3 because I have 3 in a row. Like what I have is I only have 1 of the Star Wars, but I have 3 Hulks, 3 Thors, 3 Captain Americas, 3 Tarzans. I have 2 Fantastic Fours and 1 Star Wars. This Star Wars right here, number 16. It is a trippy book. I'm going to do a separate video on just this comic alone. Boy, oh boy, it's look for that. It's going to be interesting. Walt Simonson did the art on this one, and I believe Archie Goodwin drew it, and it is a weird book for a 7-year-old to read who knows about Star Wars but has no clue what's going on in this comic book. And even when I read it just a week or so ago, I was like, oh my goodness, lots to talk about in there, lots of interesting stuff. All right, moving on. So one of the things you can tell is like there's no barcode here; it's blank. Okay. So this would have been an October 78 release, maybe that came out in 79 or something like that, or earlier, a couple months earlier. But this is how you can tell it's a Whitman, because there is no barcode at the time. I don't think they didn't have a direct market. So this is just blank because they're not supposed to be sold at 35 cents. As far as you can tell, the only thing different inside the comic, nothing. Just it doesn't say second printing in there. That's it. Just the blank white. Spot, and even in good condition, these are I don't know. Mile High Comics got them at like $17 or something for these reprints. But that Star Wars there is pretty beat up. I've taped it even. I'll talk about it in a separate video. But the other ones are in really good shape, and I have no idea how I kept them in such good shape from such a young age. But here is Thor 277. It's a Ragnarok tale, and I just started reading it last night. I got about 10 pages in, and then I went to bed. But I'm for sure gonna do a video on these because they're real special to me, and they were a lot of fun to read when I was a kid, and I read them many times over and over. And here is Incredible Hulk 229. Good with Doc Samson and what's her name, Moonstone or something, I think that character is. Then here is Captain America 227, and oh, what do you know? There's Red Skull and Nick Fury, and go figure. Captain America comic never happened. No way. All right, Tarzan. Actually, didn't think I'd be interested, but they're good adventures inside. I'm going to look forward to rereading that within the next day or so. All right, here's a great Fantastic Four, number 201. A little sad that the package contained two of these, 201 and 202, and Star Wars 16, but not Fantastic Four 200, where they had this big battle with Doctor Doom and freed Latveria. I never read it, but that's what I gathered from the first couple of pages there. It's written by Marv Wolfman. All right, so actually, the other thing too with this Thor run, here's 278, is Thor got his hammer stolen away from him, so he had to fight Hela and some of her hordes and stuff, and some red-haired dude took his hammer. So a little trickery going on, and yeah. So Odin was up to no good and all that. So looking forward to reading that. Here is Incredible Hulk number 230. If I recall, that's the one. I remember that one pretty well. It says Harvest of Fear. I'm going to give away a little bit. I believe it's kind of interesting. Some aliens are, attacking some cornfields or whatever. They beam Hulk up because they're trying to figure out a way to save their dying civilization. And look, under his toenails, there's dirt. And they figure out soil. Yes, our planet didn't have that. A real interesting sci-fi tale. I mean, one-off little comic, but I was captivated as a kid by that. All right, another cool Captain America comic here. Number 228. All right, another Tarzan. Boy, oh boy, look at this. Look at the action on that cover. That is just fantastic. So there's Tarzan, Lord of the Jungle. All right, now I've been putting these. I'm gonna stop my Whitman run just for a quick second because I've been putting these in as best I could, going through the boxes and putting them in strict chronological order from the publication date. And so if this said December of 78, well, another very special book came out in the end of 1978, I believe, when I did my research or I looked inside the front cover. Publication date was December 78, and look at this. Again, given to me by someone, and it's fairly beat up, but it's the Silver Surfer. It's basically a trade paperback. Well, forget that. It's a book format. It looks like a trade paperback, but it's a one-off story. This is probably a good 100 pages. Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, they revisited the origin of the Silver Surfer. Stan Lee wrote his Silver Surfer 20-odd issue run in the late 60s. And he was touring high schools and stuff, or not high schools, but colleges, and giving speeches and stuff. And then the Silver Surfer, was kind of popular, and so he just made another book, and it's just fantastic. It's so good. I can't say enough. When Stan Lee really likes his creation, he really goes after it and writes it. He's revisited the Silver Surfer origin story a bunch of times. He did it with Mobius, just whatever. But I'm looking forward to reading this again. I probably read this half a dozen times when I was a kid, in my teens, and just loved it. And it's really good. So this is a first printing. I think if you look online for these this goes for $100 or so. I don't know. This is it's not in very good shape, but I don't care about the money. It's interesting to know how much my comics are worth, but I'm never going to sell them, so it doesn't matter. All right, back to that run of Whitman comics. All right, to Fantastic Four 202, Iron Man in there. I had never heard of him before, and there it is. And so anyway, I was like, okay, cool. And then here is Thor 279. Okay. Incredible Hulk 231. Captain America 229. Cap against the Super Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Marvel Man, Blue Streak, the Vamp, and the Texas Twister. I thought it was pretty cool. You had to fight those guys. All right. And then Tarzan number 20. All right. A few more miscellaneous comic books, and then we'll look. There's some trade paperbacks in the midst, and I'll show you that stuff. So here we go. Probably a key for somebody who might care. Micronauts number 1. The guy, again, this guy, family friend, gave me his collection, and he had everything except for a handful of older comics, everything he gave me was in near mint condition. I mean, they were in fantastic shape, and these are in pretty good shape, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't looked at them closely, but I was not into these too much. I probably read them, but I don't remember them too much. I was not into the Micronauts. I'm not into like the licensed toy type stuff, even though they may cross over with the Marvel Universe and have characters and cameos and stuff. And yes, there was an XMen and Micronauts miniseries or whatever, but it was as forgettable as anything else. So there's number 2, and here's number 3. And then I have Battlestar Galactica number 3. And yeah, here is one still in its original Mylar, unopened by me because I have a big backlog of reading. But there is XMen Annual number 3 from 1979. I've never opened it, but it looks pretty darn good condition from the inside. Oh, it's a square bound, and it's in good shape. And I spent, there's the cover price. I spent $40 on that thing, so I was goofing off at cons. I figure if I'm going to buy $100 worth of, a ticket to get in for 2 days or whatever, I'm going to go ahead and spend $300 or $400 on back issues and fill holes and just treat myself to stuff. And so I did and had a good time. But yeah, it's funny. I'm in the modern age where I don't really balk at these prices necessarily. For the longest, I had a streak of like 20 years or 30 years with the most expensive comic I ever bought was $9, and then I broke that after like 20 some years. But anyway. All right, so looking forward to reading that. Amazing Spider-Man 202, and then more. Yeah, it's original first print. It's just all beat up. It's good. But all right, so here is Fantastic Four Visionaries number 0 by John Byrne. Great stuff. I read some already a couple days ago from like the 78, 79, and then I moved it and I shuffled it back in the box to like wait till I get to like 1980 and read the ones that were reprinted from 1980. They're fantastic. John Byrne, drawing, scripting, whatever, anything he did with Fantastic Four was always great. All right, so a little out of order, but a little in order is this Moon Knight trade paperback. I did read earlier already. The Werewolf by Night 33 and 34 that are in there, and I'm gonna do a deep dive on the first 5 or 6 or so issues of Moon Knight. So it's a Moon Knight Epic Collection, really great. I got it at a Barnes and Noble. It was a remainder, as you can see by the black marker dot there. I don't know. I think I did not spend more than $9.99 on it. Could have even been cheaper, but I was like, oh, look at that. And what made me want to get it, because I have every, except for Werewolf by Night, and you saw in this very same unboxing video, I have Marvel Spotlight 28 and 29. I'm sorry, I do not have the 2 Werewolf by Nights, 33 and 34, 32 and 33, that is. But and I don't have the Defenders one. They got Defenders in here, 47 to 52. Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man, 22 and 23. Don't have those. Marvel 2-in-1, 52. Don't have those. But I have Moon Knight 1 through 4. I have the original run of Moon Knight, the second set of Moon Knight. But there's all these in between issues. So all the first appearances, as if you know comics, you know how these epic collections are mapped out. They're mapped out really well, especially the first volume. They got all the original appearances and stuff. So everything was great. If you like Moon Knight, get this, pick it up. It's great. I like the stories a lot. They're very good, and I will be going into more detail on that. So I read all the way up to this Marvel 2-in-1 number 52, which I'm about to read pretty soon because it's from 1979. So as soon as I finish that run of Whitman's from 78, I'm going to get back into this and read and also the Rampaging Hulk comics or whatever, Hulk magazine or whatever comic it was from. So looking forward to finishing that epic collection. All right, another random comic. Here is Micronauts number 11. Oh, I did want to say one more thing about the Moon Knight Epic collection, and I will definitely be showing this off in a video I do about this. The Defenders 47 through 50 was surprisingly good, and I was like, the Defenders suck. They're a terrible team. There's never been a good run or good issues of that. I challenge anyone to say, oh yeah, there are. No, you're retarded if you think that. But this one was really good, and this guy, I forget his name already. He's David Kraft or something. I don't remember, but I was very impressed with the writing on that, and I was like, whoa. And yeah, so Kraft is the last name at least. If it's not David, it's something. Looked him up a little on Wikipedia. Watched a little YouTube video of him talking to another comic creator, and he actually did this interview magazine comic, which I knew of when I was a kid, where he'd write a long thing about creators. And so what I learned is that he then went on to write like the entire She-Hulk run after Stan Lee kicked it off. And I just so happened to have purchased this Essential She-Hulk, and I'm now very much looking forward to getting, David Anthony Kraft is his name, getting into those. So after number 1, which I did bust this open and read that, the reason I even have this, well, I like She-Hulk, just great. She's a great character. But I was once upon a time going on to Mile High Comics to buy just fill in some gaps, just goof off, spend some money and fill in some Daredevil gaps or something. Wasn't even going to spend much, but they had this on their masthead page for the longest. They're like, She-Hulk for only like $5.99, just She-Hulk, so like, if you ever went onto their website for like a half a year or something, it was crazy. They always had this sale for She-Hulk for $5.99 for the Marvel Essentials number 1, and I was like, all right, I'll get it. So I went ahead and added it to my cart, and I'm really looking forward to it. So I think it's, I'm not sure if it's the entire run. It might be. I think they might have canceled around 25. I forget, but there it is. And then the last thing in this book, in this unboxing, is it's been up and down in the box because this is the Invincible Iron Man, a great little collection called The Many Armors of Iron Man. Just once I was, I was like, hey, you know what? I don't know if I was traveling and I wanted to read something, in a hotel room or something, or if I just saw it and I was like, you know what? I'll pick that up. And I think I was just living. I was living in DC at the time, and I was popping into a bookstore or something, or a comic shop, and I saw this. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna pick that up because I love Iron Man. I love the issues where he busts out a new armor, and so they have a retelling tale of his origin in there. So I read that, so I kind of put it back in the front chronologically, and then I read a few more here and there that might have been through the 70s, and then I'm gonna pick it back up because there's maybe one or two from the late 70s and then into like 1980. And it does go into the run I have where he gets his red and white armor, I believe, like in 215 or 205, 200 or something like that. And anyway, so stealth armor, space armor, whatever, undersea armor. He's always making new costumes or new suits of armor. Well, that is it. I'm more excited now because I'm this is my third YouTube video, and I'm now enjoying my own hobby more because what I've been doing is just spending too much time on YouTube watching other people unbox comics and enjoy their collection and talk about their collection. So now I'm doing it. I hope you enjoy it. I'm gonna definitely do some closer reviews where I open the comic and put it down and hold the camera in my hand or whatever, my cell phone in my hand, and just talk to the pages and talk about what I see and what I remember and how I enjoyed the comic and stuff like that. So this is a lot of fun to do this and talk about the comics, just as hundreds of other YouTubers do. So having seen people do this for the last 2 or 3 years, just spending lots and lots of time watching videos and channels, I was like, you know what, that'll be fun. I'm going to do that and and enjoy my hobby and spend more time with my own comics rather than watching other people enjoy theirs. So, all right, I'm going to stop talking now. Thanks for watching.